Hey friends, I'm Ash.
I'm Elle.
We are Lobby Cosplay.
This is Shenanigans Cosplayers Say Happy Pride Month.
Yay!
Woohoo! We remembered this time. Yay!
Weird.
Weird. I'm so bad at it.
Remembering.
Well, in general. Yeah.
It happens.
I mean, yeah, remembering anything in general, but we have a bad tendency to record and then forget what's airing in June. But we remembered, and not only did we remember, we have an episode that actually fits.
It's a good time.
2 seasons in a row.
Yes.
Making progress. So today we are going to talk about one of our favorite groups called SheProp. So we have Beverly Downen from Downen Creative Studios with us today.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome.
Thank you so much for inviting me to hang out with you two today. I'm so excited. I've been looking forward to this for since we started talking about it, which was a while ago.
Well, we are excited to have you. Apparently, Beverly is going to keep track of all our tangents for this episode.
Yes.
We'll have to get a final tally at the end.
We're up to 2, and that was before we started recording. And those are the only 2. That was only the ones that I was keeping track of after we had this brilliant idea to do this. So, listeners, put your bets in now.
Yep.
We'll do the final tally at the end.
Yes.
So can you tell our listeners a little bit about what you do and about SheProp?
Yeah. Well, my name's Beverly. I am a cosplayer and educator and overall maker. I'm also the founder of SheProp. But I've been cosplaying for, since 2014. What is math? I'm not going to add those years up. For a while, not as long as a lot of other folks, but I started with my family. And it was a fun thing that we decided to do. One weekend we went to a convention, and it just was over for me at that point. I just was hooked and been doing it ever since. So I have been doing that, and then 2018 I was making a Hella costume, which was very ambitious for my skill at the time. It was still just diving headfirst into techniques and materials that I didn't know anything about, but I was very jazzed to be making stuff and learning along the way. The making and the learning is my favorite part. And I can be a little naive sometimes, especially when it comes to learning new things and asking people for help. So more than a few times I ran into people asking me why I was doing my Hella costume the way that I was trying to do it. Specifically meaning, why was I trying to use silicone on a costume? Like, why? Like, that's the dumbest idea in the world. Why are you going to do that? So of course that made me very upset, because you don't tell me what to do or what I can't do. And I've always been that way. I've always been like, you know what, I'm going to go in the opposite direction of what you're telling me that I can't do. So I went ahead and I did it, and I did it as well as I could. And I freaking won an award, and I was like, take that. And then the next day, so this was at Emerald City Comic-Con. The next day, I was wearing the costume again because, of course, I wanted to wear it one more time rather than just on stage once. So I was wearing it again, and and ironically, it was the woman that asked me if my husband made my costume for me, and I was like, explosion in my brain. I was very sweet to her there, and if I ever figure out who that was, I want to thank her for inspiring SheProp, because I think it was a long and coming kind of a thing that I needed. I needed that community. SheProp, to explain to listeners that who aren't sure what I'm talking about, SheProp is a community that I started for women initially, because I wanted to have a safe space to talk about cosplay stuff without getting all of the stuff that I was getting while I was making my Hella costume, and before that too, the male gaze, and also questioning my reasons for doing things, or talking over me, or telling me I'm not doing something right, or saying that's great, but if you did this and that, like unsolicited advice, that kind of thing. I tended to not get that from my female friends. So I said, you know what, lady at Emerald City, you just inspired me to turn my rage into something positive. And SheProp was born like 3 days later. And I invited all my friends, and all their friends invited all their friends. And so after like 3 days, we had like 200 people in the group on Facebook. And then just a little while after that, I have another friend that asked if they sent me a message privately and said, hey, I'm trans. Can I join? Like, oh my God, yes, of course, yes, absolutely. I don't know why this is just for women. Of course, yes, please come. And then it just kept evolving from there. So the group now is just supportive of anyone that has an underrepresented gender, identifies as female, transgender, two-spirit, non-binary. We're just a community that is supportive of each other. We help lift each other up. We provide a safe space that you can come to and discuss cosplay related crafty things. It's not just about building and making. We're also a place where you can come and talk about issues that are adjacent, cosplay adjacent, like body image and, discovering who you are through cosplay. Like, where are you going to have those conversations online? Like, there aren't a lot of places. So you can do that at SheProp. And I say we, my admins and I, we've been working really hard for the last few years to try and maintain that space as a safe space and an evolving space, which is also a really important part of growing a community like that. I feel like I've been talking a lot. Can you tell? Like, I like talking about this community.
Well, and one of the reasons we wanted you to come talk about SheProp is we love SheProp. Like,
yes.
Yay.
This isn't, I mean, Beverly's not, blow and fluff or anything here. It truly is like the most welcoming online community I have ever been a part of. I never feel that fear to post in SheProp that I do in other forums, because I have this very like issue sometimes of being worried that people are going to take something the wrong way or they're going to get upset, because it's happened a lot in other forums. So I tend to just not comment or get into conversations. But in SheProp, I feel more safe to do that, because everyone like thinks before they speak, essentially, when they're in there, and everyone who's there is there to be supportive of each other. They ask questions instead of attacking people. Like, they try to figure out what someone's trying to say. They're even probably the nicest about repeat questions, because all forums get repeat questions about cosplay. And I would say that they probably have the kindest answers. And it's because everybody that's there is there to be supportive of each other. And then that does carry over to the live events as well. We've been a moderator for multiple SheProp events, quite a few times for C2E2. And we've experienced the exact same thing in person. The SheProp meetup at C2E2 is like one of the favorite things of ours, is to actually like see people that you've like talked to on like the, C2E2 adjacent group that occurs for the people that want to be involved in like the programming there and what happens in the SheProp forum. And it's like, now I can see you.
And now I get to see it in person.
And now I get to see you in person. So it truly is a very unique experience, especially in an online forum. I don't think you see this very often.
Yeah, I had pretty much, before SheProp, I had pretty much given up on a lot of, especially social media based cosplay forums. I had tried to find maybe some outlier websites to maybe try to get back into it, because I wasn't really feeling the vibe of a lot of the social media Facebook type groups, just because of the very toxic environment that they can turn into. So when I found SheProp, it was a very refreshing change. It's pretty much the only one that I'm still like following out of all of them, even if I'm still a member. It's the only one that shows up on my feed on the regular.
Yeah, I have to say the same. So first of all, I love both of you for being in the community and for contributing as much as you have. This community would not be where it is without folks like the both of you, trusting and believing and growing along with the group. So it's not my group; it's everyone's group that is there in the community, and I feel a little bit of ownership over it, only because like I do feel like a big mother hen. I want everyone to have a good time. I want everyone to get along. I want everyone to feel like they're safe and that they're getting something out of the community. So to hear that's what's happening, I'm never going to get tired of that. I love hearing that so much. Makes me feel like my frustration on that first little day when I was like, I need my own community. Where can I go talk about this? I can't go to the replica prop forum.
No.
No,
I've done that
cannot.
before.
No, you can't.
No. Oh no. Yeah. So yeah, I'm so glad that folks find a real value and connection with people in that community. And like you were saying, I am a member of a lot of other maker communities, and I spend so much time in SheProp. I go there first for things. I will post my sneak previews there because it's fun for me, and I know that it's going to be it's going to be received positively. If I have a question, everything that you were both saying, I get the same out of it. So it's just great to hear. I'm so glad. Thanks for being there.
Well,
all right, thanks for having me.
Yeah, right. So things like SheProp are very important in general to like human existence, right? We all need something to belong to. People are social beings. You want to be with others that share like thoughts, as in somewhat how we talked in I'm with Stupid, but it's not always doing stupid things. Although there are true cosplay crimes that sometimes occur.
Oh my gosh. Talk about a good time with a good group of folks. Yeah, that's just like everyone leaves those panels. To describe what true cosplay crimes is it is a panel. So let's go in the Wayback Machine, just like maybe a year ago, maybe. I was talking to Pros and Cons Cosplay. I was talking to one of them. They're twins. I get them confused sometimes. So I was talking to one of them, and we were talking about cosplay crimes. And I said, oh my God, that'd be such a great panel. I'm going to do it. And she was rolling around laughing on the floor from that. I was like, okay, that's a good sign. Who wants to be on this panel with me? And at first people were kind of shy. Like, I don't really want to say the things that I've been doing wrong. Like, oh my God, no. Listen, just come to the panel. Just tell a couple stories. Here's my story. And yeah, that was always inspiring for folks to just come. And by the end of these panels, people are like raising their hand in the audience. They want to share their own stories. And then we run out of time and everyone's still there, which is amazing. And it's always packed. And your serotonin levels are like through the roof because you've been laughing and having a great time. So yeah, that's what true cosplay crimes is all about.
Well, and things like that, everyone in that space relates to what is occurring. Mm-hmm. You start to feel that sense of like bonding because you're realizing, oh, well, all these other people have been in similar situations what I've been in. You've got that group flow and group think going. So now everybody's kind of on the like, ooh, and I've done this and I've done this. And now you're starting to feel comfortable with expressing these things. And then it also kind of helps if you do have that anxiety over doing something wrong, that it's okay to make a mistake while you're doing, because that's ultimately what it is. It's okay to make a mistake. Like
yes.
You can make mistakes. Please be safe.
Yes.
You can make mistakes.
Yes, you can make mistakes, and then you can make a repeat mistake. But is it a repeat or is it a crime? And we all do it. So I love leveling the playing field, so to speak, in that regard. We're like, okay, we know that we're not. You know that hot glue does not belong where you're putting it.
Right.
But yeah, con crunch is real, and yes, we do. We'll go there.
People sometimes glue a lot of things to themselves that they shouldn't. It happens, you know.
Oh my gosh!
I mean,
oh my gosh, those are the worst stories.
And apparently,
do not put hot glue on your head.
Someone sewed scissors into their costume it was one of the stories at the MCM one. Apparently, Captain Amelia was like, yeah, someone sewed scissors into there. It was I think it was one of the people on the panel. And I was like, please tell me more about how you accidentally sew your scissors into your costume.
Wow. I feel like, as this true cosplay crimes thing rolls on, we should be giving awards out probably. That, meaningless
whoever
awards.
has the best story for the, that particular panel.
I like it.
Like,
that would be fun.
Random object insert here.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Well, it's like
look,
when we
on a tangent.
But still, it's in the topic. It's in the topic of.
Okay.
Oh no, it was totally a tangent.
I was
That's the first thing I thought when we started it.
It was topic adjacent, but it was still a tangent.
Most of our tangents are topic adjacent.
It's true, but it is a good example of like that's. I mean, that's how you build community. Is people share like stories and like ideas, and then you develop that like collective identity that starts to occur in community, which then builds a sense of belonging, a sense of purpose. You feel understood by others, which then you get safety, which is ultimately part of what's happening in that true crimes panel. Is that sense of safety starts to occur. They go, this place is safe for me to say whatever, and I'm not going to get judged. So now I'm going to tell my crime because nobody's going to judge me for it. We're all having fun. It's a lighthearted place. We're growing and learning together. This is great. So then as you find community, you start to build that sense of worth and value and acceptance within those people and in that community, which like that's ultimately what like I get from SheProp even online. It's like the only place that I feel okay to like just share something and not feel like someone's going to be like, why are you putting that on here? Or like, am I going to get in trouble because I just shared my work somewhere? Because a lot of the online communities get really like, no, you're advertising and not advertising. I'm just like, look, I made this cool thing.
I'm really excited and I just want to share it with my friends.
And I want to show it with someone besides like my Instagram that no one sees. Like, can I just like, hey, look at this, it's cool. Anybody else do anything like this? It's neat, But that's because you feel good when you're in SheProp and you're sharing with your friends and everybody's super supportive, and then they start sharing things that they did. That's one of the things that I've noticed that's very different about the SheProp online community is people feel comfortable doing the response of, oh, that's cool. I did something like that too. Check this out. And everybody feels very comfortable like sharing with each other, and no one gets mad. No one's like, oh, you're trying to take over my post. Like no one, it's just, that's expected. Like we're going to share with each other. If you post something, someone's probably going to post something if it reminds them of something they did. And then you get all these really cool conversations from it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't thought about that before, but yeah, you're right. That happens a lot. And like once again, I'm going on the tangent. It's parallel.
It's a parallel tangent.
I think that when we're talking about online or the maker communities that we are all a part of, but we don't really contribute to, or we are selective with our contributions for whatever reasons, probably the same reasons, is that SheProp is lucky that we have a core group of admins that are on it. And we take advantage of the Facebook tools that they have given us to manage groups like this. And we have 5,000 people in our group. There's more than that in a lot of the other maker groups. But still, we are able to manage some of the things that might come along, or like if a member reports something that clearly is not within our rules, because it does happen. It's a group of humans. Like the people are going to break rules, whether they know that they're breaking them or not. But I have to, in this tangent space, say thank you to the admins. They work really, really hard to make sure that just things are discussed and that everyone kind of agrees before a big decision is made about, maybe removing someone from the group that has broken enough of these rules or has committed a horrible crime. and doesn't belong in the space, or someone that needs to, get a gentle reminder that, XYZ is not something that we do, or maybe we need to reinstate like a rule that we put in. And actually coming back to Pride Month, and this doesn't even like, yes, it's Pride Month, but this is something that we do in this group all the time now, and now it's bi-weekly. We have a rule that we instated, I think last year, about language, gender neutral language. So that means instead of saying, "Hey ladies," which used to happen a lot in the group, we said, you know what, that's not very inclusive of all of our members, because it's ladies is not something that everyone can, some people can't identify with that. So please don't use that language anymore. And we started noticing, someone in the admin group noticed that this was not being adhered to very, as much as it used to be. So now we have that post circulating every couple of weeks, just a gentle reminder. I think it just posted today, the first one that I did. Yeah,
it's
so
a very pretty graphic too.
Yeah, and it's it's not like this is a rule, and if you break this rule, you're out kind of a thing, because this is our new members. They might need our space in order to gently learn these things that they can then bring into their normal everyday life. And that, I think, is the wonderful thing about our group, is that these lessons that we're learning, that I'm learning along the way since 2018 when this group started, I've learned so much, and it's because of the grace of our members and the patience that we all have for each other. So I don't even know how I got off on this tangent.
That's okay. I think Prop Stars is my favorite.
Yes.
Yeah, Prop Stars is great.
Prop Stars is probably my favorite.
Talking about that gender neutral language, anybody that's been listening to us since the beginning, I used to open almost every episode with, "Hey guys," and then we're like, we want to try to get something a little bit different. So then it switched to friends, but I had to teach myself that, and sometimes you need those moments where you get those gentle reminders. And I do think that the SheProp admin team is really good about appropriately educating people, and they're not condescending. I mean, they're very professional about it. It's really good. Anytime that I have seen an issue and snitched on it, reported it because it was a violation of a rule, it's always been taken care of professionally and quickly. So yeah, they're definitely on their game.
Yeah, well, and I wish other maker groups were like that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh no, sorry. Well, and they're a big part of what creates the safety that is in SheProp. Like, that's how you create that sense of safety for what is a marginalized community.
Yeah, because if you can create the boundary, but if you don't, make sure that the boundary is respected, then it doesn't do any good.
That's essentially where SheProp came from. It was for like a group of people that were essentially being discriminated against by the larger community. And so you created a space for them to come to where now everybody feels more included and safe. Kind of one of the other important things about community in general is if you don't feel like you belong in the overarching main community, having a sub community to be a part of is really important. So people have all sorts of different communities. I mean, people have, their LGBTQ communities, your neurodivergent communities where like we attract each other like magnets. It's just a thing. Even cons, just convention is a community that's outside of the norm that people look for and go to. And they feel safer in that environment because they already know that there are people there with like-minded ideas. And that's part of what creates all that type of safety for, a larger community. And we're not going to dive into everything that is a marginalized community because there's a lot of different aspects to that and what creates a marginalized community. And we're talking more about specifically like what led to SheProp. And you already kind of told us where it came from because people like to tell women they can't make armor, which we used to see all the time.
I'm glad that things are hopefully changing. I don't know. Because I don't spend a lot of time in other maker groups, I've created a wonderful little echo chamber for myself with SheProp. I'm like, oh, the world is great and dandy and everything's fine. And then I like step outside that little bubble. I'm like, oh no, what is happening out
Like,
here?
I'm just gonna go back over here.
I'm just gonna
Yeah.
return to my bubble, you know. Well, and it's even evolved more than just the people are mean in a lot of other forums. They're just very critical, but not in a useful way.
That has never been allowed in our group, and it takes a lot of hard work and dedication for people to maintain communities like that. And that is what is missing from a lot of the other communities out there. They just either don't have the people that are available with the bandwidth to deal with that, because it's really hard. It's really hard. It takes a lot out of me. And if it was just me, I probably would have deleted SheProp because it's overwhelming. I mean, it would have broken my heart to do that, but nobody can do this by themselves.
No, it is. And you've also done a great job at making sure you have a very diverse admin group as well that can understand and work with all the different marginalized communities that are part of SheProp, because that's also important. There may be things that like one community member who's part of another community would recognize that maybe somebody else wouldn't. And I think that's also part of why this forum is so successful, is you've done such a nice job in picking like the best people to help it move forward, if that makes sense.
Total transparency. We weren't always like that. It wasn't always like that. When my first set of admins that have been thankfully still with me on this journey, I contacted people that were in my small little circle and to help me manage this community at first. And then when it became very apparent that we can't say that we are representing marginalized anyone if nobody in the administrative side of things can be there at the table to help us make decisions and move the community forward. So that was a lesson. Of course, these are all growing pains. They're important lessons. And if you don't, I feel like if you're running a community like SheProp, if you're not listening and you're not willing to say, you know what, this is not how we should be doing things, and let's change some stuff. We put a call out to say, you know what, we really need to have a little bit more representation in our administration. So if you are interested in coming aboard and helping to shape this community in the way that it needs to be, reach out. And we did. We got lots of folks that were interested, and I would say that most of them are still part of the conversations that we have on the site, which is almost every day. And it's not just, hey, how you doing, everybody? Let's check in. It's always like in response to something that's happening in the group, whether it's somebody that reported something or somebody saw something that like maybe we should pay attention to it, or hey, maybe we should be reposting the gender neutral language reminders, more often. What do you think, everyone? And then people will, put in their 2 cents. It's great. It's ultimately the safest space that I have to help manage this ship.
You need a crew to manage your ship.
Yeah.
It's true. You cannot captain alone. So
no, absolutely not. Yeah. And some days, I have a job, and some days I work 12-hour days, and something major will be happening in SheProp that needs to be addressed right away. And the other admins are always on it. It's just awesome. It's great.
It's great to have a team you can trust. That's always a good thing.
Yes.
Well, and I've noticed that the diversity has also started to roll into the panel content as well, where people are paying a lot more attention to diversity on their panel, both with gender representation, LGBTQ representation, by POC representation, but also ability levels. It's not always just like your big time top 1% people. I've seen a nice variety between like your people who have just been doing this for a couple of years and your people who have been doing this for 10 years. And it just really shows like a physical representation of the group as a whole, that like this is really what SheProp is like. And it's that big diversity that I think also makes the programming really unique, because you don't see that very often.
Yeah. Well, thank you for noticing that. And that's something that it's been really lovely to see that taking hold. at the beginning, it was more difficult, I think, to find, it's kind of hard, like if you have an idea for a panel, and think of doing this several years ago. You have an idea for a panel and you want to like reach out and grab folks that might be interested in joining your panel. How do you do that without someone feeling like they're the token, XYZ on the panel? How do you make it sound like it's genuine, like coming from a genuine place? And the answer to that is it's pretty easy. You just do that consistently, and you make that a part of the panel. Yep. You make that a part of the reason you're doing the panel, or the reason that you're doing that content, and you're reaching out to people that you think would really, want to contribute. And you make it a priority and be consistent about that. And it's really nice to see that happening with the SheProp panels. And also, we do remind folks that is an important part of SheProp. You need to please make sure that you are reaching out to people that can fulfill a broad spectrum of abilities and backgrounds, and whatever it is that you're trying to talk about in the panel. Don't just fill it with all of your besties, unless all of your besties happen to fill all of those kinds of shoes.
Yeah.
So it's been really great to see that happening.
Well, and I know, like, because we've moderated a few of your panels at this point, and the first time it definitely was hey, we know XYZ, okay, we're good. And then I went, I don't want to do that the next time. And I know I ended up using a Google form is how I ended up figuring out who was going to go where the last time I did it. But that was nice because people could let me know what they felt comfortable talking about and what they didn't want to talk about, and where they felt like their strengths and weaknesses lied. And then it made it a lot easier for me to put people in the appropriate panels that they would fit best in, without anyone feeling like, oh, I'm grabbing you because you like fulfilled this one thing that doesn't have as much to do with cosplay and has more to do with like, trying to fill a quota essentially. And I'm like, I don't want anyone to feel that way. I want them to feel like they're here because they have these expertise, but I want to show the wider community. And that worked really well. Everybody kind of liked that. They were like, that was nice to know, like, okay, I know what I'm going to probably talk about because these are the boxes I clicked. I'm able to tell you like anything I need you to know. I'm able to tell you what I'm comfortable with. Now you have all this info with my pronouns and all this stuff and my photo. And that panel was so much better than it had been the year before, because we had such a wide array of diversity in multiple ways. For it, it would have been, we missed C2 this last year, so it would have been 2022 last time we did one. It was really fun. It was a really neat panel to have.
It was really good.
And it was
that was the one I was on.
Yeah, that was when you were on.
I was there too.
Yeah, you came and hung out with us
this year too. Yeah, that was so much fun. You're both great moderators. That was a really great panel. It was a lot of fun being up there.
The SheProp panels are always some of our favorites because you can rely on the people that you have too. Like the people who volunteer for the SheProp panels are typically very reliable. They know what they're getting themselves into, and they feel comfortable with us, and so we usually end up with like a good crew, and they always fill the seats. Everybody knows at this point, oh, that's a SheProp panel, we're going.
Yeah.
Like, we'll see you guys at the SheProp panel. It's always, we'll see you guys at the SheProp panel, and then we'll see you at your show at night. Except for all our friends over 30 who are going, that's too late, and I'm going to bed.
Oh my gosh.
And then we go, we understand.
Same.
We know it's only 9 p.m., but we also understand you're very tired. We would be in bed too if we had the option, but we're almost always 9 p.m. on Friday night at C2.
Well, and the other really nice thing about the SheProp panels that I've noticed, especially as time has gone on, and it's not just people wanting to do programming because ReadPop will give you a badge or whatever. They're actually very passionate about the topic and just the idea of SheProp as a whole, and most of them are very involved in the community on a regular basis, so they can kind of speak from their heart of, hey, this is why we think that this is a great idea. This is why you should get on your phone and go ahead and pull up Facebook and join this right now. Oh, but also all these other great things that I have to tell you. And the community that shows up for the panels, whether or not they're a member of the community or they just happen to notice there's a crowd forming or they heard about it in the hallways or saw it in the program book. They're all very curious and very eager and want to ask a lot of questions. And it's just always a really great experience.
You both are making me feel so good today.
Well, and
Warm
then
and
they
fuzzy.
I
come.
love this.
Well, and then they come to a lot of times they'll come to the meetup then because they hung out with all of us it's usually the talk shop panel that gets like the most people kind of buzzing, and then they're like, oh wait, now we can come like talk to everybody later. Yeah, we'll see you guys there. So then they come and get a little bit more, and then by the time they're like done, they've totally joined SheProp and they're like ready to hang out with everybody.
One of us.
Right?
One of us.
Right? I'm sure you watch. I'm sure like every time you guys do a show, or it probably like the numbers tick.
We definitely get a few extra folks after every convention that has a panel or a meetup. That is for sure. And I wanted to tell you a little interesting tidbit. When we first started doing panels, I think we've got a couple of core panels that no convention in the right mind is going to say no to. It's the cosplay culture panel.
Yep.
That one, pretty much anyone that ever applies for that at a show, it will be accepted because it's an important topic. And I would like to think that SheProp at this point has gained a good reputation for bringing some quality content as far as that with all of our panels. But you were talking about people signing up for panels so that they could get a free pass. One of the reasons that I was trying to get folks to do SheProp panels was because I wanted to see if having that safe space in the community would instill confidence in someone who might want to try being a panelist or a moderator, but might not have known how to start or how to join one, or might have been too shy. I know that my public speaking has improved greatly because of the SheProp panels. I used to be terrified of speaking in front of people, and now I can do it. It's not a problem. And I would like to think that it's because of, initially all of the SheProp panels that I was doing. So that was one of the things that goes through my mind at every convention where there's a SheProp panel that is emerging or developing. It's like, I hope that there's someone that will leave this from having this experience that is saying to themselves, that was great. I can't wait to do something like this again. I had a great experience. Whether or not it's, SheProp related, like, I don't need the kudos for that. I'm not looking for cookies for helping someone find that. But it's always been about providing a new experience, a fun experience, providing something that maybe someone might not have wanted or have been able to go. And I know that conventions are really expensive. So there's no shame in, curating some content in exchange for a ticket. If that's what the convention is offering, and they're doing that, then do it. Just, make sure that you're prepared for your panel, and then it'll be a better panel anyway.
Absolutely. I mean, no one's going to get upset if, Reed Pop wants to give you a free badge. I mean,
yeah. But yeah, you mentioned that, and I thought that was kind of interesting because it was definitely one of my well, if we have 3 SheProp panels and then, everyone on that panel gets a badge, then that means that it's less money that they're spending. And I know that times are tight. And I know that a lot of these folks wouldn't be able to get to the convention if they didn't have a badge. So this is great. I love this. And as all part of SheProp, it's all coming in up bases. I love it. So I'm very much an optimist, if you can't tell.
I mean, I'm sure that's part of why this has been as successful as it is you see the positive side of things that are occurring. And we've definitely seen people we've had on these panels before then go off and be confident enough to do panels themselves and, being like, I don't know if I could do it. And then they're like, wait, that was really fun. Yeah, now I feel like I can go do panels. And I feel like I think I could be okay doing a panel by myself because that is a lot, and you definitely see there's just something about the community that just builds confidence in general. It's like this
I think it's
energy.
That safe. It's that safe. Like, when you're sitting there on the panel, you've got the entire community behind you, not just the folks that are sitting there at that table, which is really great. At least that's how I feel. it's sort of like having armor on, like like an armor of community of people. Yeah, like I'm impervious to the things that people say online to me now, and maybe that's because I'm over 40. But I think that a lot of it has to do with just having so much time in the SheProp community and having that like that constant wonderful feedback from folks, and then realizing like, yeah, that's, you know, if I get something negative, oh my gosh, like I've been putting more things on YouTube Shorts lately, and whew,
Oh, yes.
boy, some of those comments, man, wow.
YouTube has no chill.
Yeah, that kind of stuff doesn't really rub me the wrong way anymore. Just like, oh, that person was probably commenting while they were like in the bathroom doing something that we all do, but still probably in the bathroom on the toilet,
probably
commenting on my video. That's gross. So then I move on. Internets. Does that count as a tangent?
Yes.
I don't know. Yes. Okay.
If you're counting other things that we've done as tangents, I think that counts as a tangent for yourself.
As a tangent, yes. Okay. So far we're doing pretty well on tangent count.
We're doing pretty good. We've kept them to a minimum. Not too bad for us, honestly.
I mean, we did tangent for like a half an hour before we started.
Yeah, we got our tangent out before. I think as part of it is we already chatted for like 30 minutes before we started recording, so that might be where we got our tangents out, possibly.
That's true.
Maybe.
You know, I think if I didn't say I'm going to keep track of all the tangents, we probably have a lot more tangents.
I don't know. I don't really think about it. My ADHD doesn't let me monitor my tangents. So they're just going to occur when they feel like it. It's just a thing.
They are their own entity. They show up when they want.
I mean, if I don't have Ash keeping me in line for a panel, you never know what's going to happen. So some of these cons that are getting me by myself.
That's because I'm in charge of the clock. So
that's right.
Time management.
You are my time management because I don't have any. What is time? I don't know what that is. But, yeah, that was a tangent right there. There you go. Got another one.
I'm marking it down since you said it. All right, here we go.
We are excited to see where SheProp goes from here and all the like awesome things that's going to be doing. I can tell you one of the things I missed the most about not doing C2E2 this year was not getting to do SheProp, like any of the things, because we weren't there. And then we were like, we're sad we're not at C2E2, but we went to Seattle, so we couldn't.
Even the week before, we're like, man, I really wish I was at C2E2. We're like, but we have a con the weekend after.
We're too old for that now.
So far away.
If you're saying you're too old for things, oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm really excited about, you know, every time January 1st rolls around, it's like, what are we going to do with SheProp this year? And honestly, right around the time of the pandemic, that was when a lot of things, I was so worried about the community in general, not just SheProp, but, you know, everybody and myself. Losing that connection of going to conventions and having the motivation to do anything, you know, what is there if we don't have deadlines, you know, or things to work together towards. So we started doing virtual panels a lot, and that was really great. And then I did the podcast, the SheProp Talk podcast, and then, you know, I tend to do way too much and spreading myself out thin, in addition to doing all of my Downen creative studios, my own stuff. But gosh, it's so hard sometimes because I see so much potential in what SheProp can become. And I know that there's a little, so truth time, there's a little part of me that says, you know what, if I set aside Downen creative studios and I focus completely on SheProp, I could make this community into like the most amazing, awesome thing. Like, we could be going to conventions. I could be getting like more conventions. I could maybe get funding to do outreach in communities. I could touch so many more lives and reach so many more people if I could spend more time on it. And I had to have a serious reckoning with myself earlier this year after a whole year of going. I did 12 conventions last year, and SheProp went to many conventions last year. And that was always organized mostly by myself. And I burned out hard, which of course I would. That's, that's the road to burnout town right there. So I had to make a decision. And the decision was I was going to pull back because I just released my book, pull back on the SheProp events because I just don't have it in me to manage all of those. So panels, yes, do panels. If anyone in the SheProp community wants to do a SheProp panel at their convention, please do it. I have all sorts of resources for folks that might need help with, how do you write up a description for a SheProp panel? Well, I already have the templates all ready for you. All you have to do is just find a diverse group of friends to do it with you. And you just apply, and then you do the panel at the convention, and you have a good time. And send us pictures, and we'll post them on the socials. So I've got all sorts of resources for folks to take those projects and make them their own. And maybe we'll be doing tables again at some point, but it's a lot of coordination. And we were doing this thing for a while where it was to get people to come over to the tables. We would have like a game where you would roll a big giant dice, and who doesn't like to do that, right? Everybody loves doing that. And we had a sponsor for a while, Cosplay America, which is where I'm going this next week.
Yes.
And they've always been wonderful. Sue has always loved SheProp. And I first guested for her because she loved SheProp and she wanted SheProp there at the convention. So Downen Creative Studios came along too, and we've since become friends, and she just loves that I do workshops. And oh my God, it's a tangent. I'm writing myself down.
It's contagious.
Anyway, it is. It's hard. It's like my brain, like it just gets on this train track of like, oh my gosh. Okay, rewind. So Cosplay America was sponsoring a lot of these little gifts that we would give out for these games. And so we had a little sponsor, like a little nibble of what that felt like. But gosh, it's just so much work.
Yes.
So much work.
Yes, it is. As someone who's prepping to have their first full-on tables at a con with merchandise, it is an excessive amount of work. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot to man a table all day. It really is.
It is
a lot to try to manage and to have, if the convention's requiring that your table is the feature in is of itself, then you have to have activities at your table, and it does become a lot. I mean, it's a lot to manage, especially at a convention. We have to be there, and then especially when it's conventions like a ReadPop convention where most of your people are not going to be available Saturday because they're all in Crown.
Yeah. Right. Or they have things that they want to go do.
Exactly.
Like, an autograph or whatever. I'm so lucky the C2E2 crowd, especially those folks that have been volunteering and doing that table. They have just been rocking it every year. It's just been so great. I always feel like it's in great hands with whoever's going to be there, and that they'll take care of each other.
Oh, yeah.
If somebody can't make it, or they're going to be late, or they need help with something, everyone is there to jump in and help out. Yeah, it's really great. The other convention that is still going to have a SheProp physical presence are local ones in the Pacific Northwest, because I have someone. Her name is MJ.
Oh yeah.
They go by Pearl Bunny Cosplay. MJ is, let me gleefully go on a tangent about this person. MJ is my rock star. They are so eager to do whatever they can. They're like a little mini me, I guess you could say. But with the energy to put together like some really robust, awesome ideas for tables and content, like SheProp content. The games, that was their idea. Anyway, thank you, MJ. I'm gonna have to tell you to listen to this episode because I am very, very, very thankful. MJ's bringing SheProp to Rose City Comic Con this year, which is going to be in Portland, Oregon, my town where I live. I am going to SpaCon, which I'm not going to be here for that convention, which is kind of weird and ironic. It's my 10-year anniversary of doing conventions, and started at Rose City Comic Con, and we're not going this year.
Not this year. Oh, yeah.
No. But I am guesting at SpaCon, so it's kind of an opportunity I can't really pass up. I don't really want to pass it up. But anyway,
Yeah.
MJ is taking the reins, and yeah, so SheProp's going to have a big presence out there this year. I'm so excited.
That's exciting. Yeah. And MJ's
Oh.
been great to work with. We've worked with them before with getting stuff set up, and they're wonderful. That's how you're able to have this community that sticks together through literally outside of this country. You all were at MCM.
Yeah.
I mean, you had a panel at MCM in
that
London.
was amazing.
You know,
Yeah,
it's expanded its way.
I think that, you know, the core panels that we have, the cosplay culture, and then the technical panels, and then hopefully true crimes keeps going. That's like my favorite thing in the world right now. We're doing it at Cosplay America, and I'm going to do it at every single convention that I can because it's just super fun. I hope that people can visualize themselves talking like up on that stage, chatting with folks about these things, and that will instill the confidence in them to go out and apply for these conventions, because I want them to have those experiences, whether it's not with SheProp. I mean, yes, please, if you're going to do a SheProp panel, please call it SheProp. That's a condition
Right.
of doing the SheProp thing. But yeah, it's very nice to see. Yay, SheProp.
We can't wait to see what y'all do in 2024.
Yeah, well, thank you for bringing it back. You're keeping me on task here.
I'm trying to be a good moderator. Sometimes I'm not, but I'm doing my best to be a good moderator for my own podcast, which sometimes I'm a really bad moderator.
Good job.
I feel like
Yay!
I just spun myself out up into the sun, up into the stratosphere with whatever it was I was just talking about. Yeah, so moving forward with SheProp, I want it to become something that is kind of self-sustaining. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's sort of at that place right now. And I personally need to learn that I don't need to push things forward if I don't have to. I can't do that. And no matter how much I want to do with SheProp, I still need to remember that I do have I'm still just me, and I have other obligations in life. We all do. It's part of staying healthy, staying mentally responsible, and hydrating, all of that stuff. I don't do a lot of those things when I try to fold too much into my daily. As much as we can do with SheProp, I am totally willing to do. But it does take a lot of work. If someone wants to do a table at their convention and we're invited out there, that means, honestly, it means that someone is going to have to take over and do it on their own, and not have me really like leading the way, or really like having a heavy hand in it. And not only do they need to take over, they need to have a backup that can take over in case something happens, and that person cannot be me. So those, I have learned through past experiences that's an important aspect of things. I've gotten a lot of gray hair over the last few years with just trying to emergently take over things that, for one reason or another, didn't work out the way that we had initially planned, and things happen, and that's just part of things, how that happens. But I would love for SheProp to go to conventions again on the regular. I always have oh God, I would love to do a cosplay crimes podcast. Here I am setting myself up for more things. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should talk to you two about how to do that. Not that you need more on your plate.
We are always willing to lend a friend a hand. We can also we can definitely tell you what not to do when trying to run a podcast. When trying to get your 4th season out while also trying to get all your business things in a line at the same time.
It's fine. This is fine.
Mistakes were made.
It's all good.
We did not take our break before season 4, so mistakes were made. Oops, we went to Spain.
Oops, we went to Spain.
And that's a whole part of, this whole thing that we're doing. It's a hobby, but what am I like from the 1950s? I say gosh a lot. Tangent. Oh my
Tangent. Oh, you might end up with more than us at this point. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, it's just one tally for all of us.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay,
we're
cool.
all in this
This is
together.
a community
the group
tangent list.
tangent. The community
Community
tangent
tangent.
list.
Yes.
Yes. Hashtag tangent.
Yeah, I think it's really great. I was thinking about this podcast and the two of you, and I think it's really, really awesome that you two do this together. And sometimes I wish that I had a person that I could do the SheProp with together that is as passionate as I am. I tend to go overboard, and I think that is something that I need to work on, which is why SheProp cannot do all these things that I really wanted to do, because otherwise I would explode, and I wouldn't have any friends, because nobody would want to hang out with me anymore.
You would be in a constant state of burnout, which is not good for anyone. That's not fun. It's that balance that has to be found, and it's tough. And I feel like everyone is always realigning their balance.
Yeah.
But you definitely have a community here that will support you in whatever way that you are capable of being a part of SheProp. And I think that's like, you can take a break and it's not going to die, because we're not going to let it. Like, that's what's really special about SheProp is there are so many people that are passionate and connected to that community that even if you were like, hey, I need to take a break, it's not going to stop. It's just going to keep going because you have so many people behind you. And that's partly because of you and your passion and how passionate you are about things and your energy. Like, that's kind of where it's like you're the little core, and then the energy just spread out, and now like everybody's part of that energy, and now we're all like, if you went on that forum and you were like, hey guys, I can't do this anymore, so we're gonna be done, everybody would lose their minds. No one would they would be like, no,
it's
what
not.
Can we do to help you? How do we help you? How do we keep this going? Because it's so important to so many people.
You're right. You're right. Also, somebody would correct me. They would say,
no, we're not.
We don't say guys, we say
yes.
everyone.
Hey, for rock stars.
They would, yeah, they would. You're right. So I'm a slightly older than most folks, I think, in that community. Real talk, I think that part of my desire to just make sure that I can put as much as I can into the group is I feel like I want to have 50 years to do this, but I feel like I don't. I feel like I need to make as much of an impact as I can now, while I have the energy, while I have the time, before my knees fail. Before things start falling off. I don't know. What is this going to look like in 20 years? Is it still going to be around? Probably. Maybe.
We'll be celebrating SheProp's 25th anniversary in 20 years.
Right?
Oh my God.
Yeah, right? Right?
Wow. Yeah, I think we just did 5 years.
Yep.
5 years. That's kind of crazy.
Right. Time flies. We can't believe that we're in our 4th season of this already. So, and a lot of it's just, we have the same thoughts that we do too. It's like, if we could dedicate more time to this, look at all the things that we could do.
Look at what we could be doing with it.
Right. But you have to be practical, and you have to have life balance, and it's okay. And when you have other things you want to do, like your beautiful book that is sitting in my lap right now, sometimes, you just need to make an extraordinarily beautiful book, because I don't know if any of you have seen The Cosplayer's Ultimate Guide to EVA Foam, but the book itself is stunning. Honestly, when I opened it, I was like, this is just a really pretty book.
A really pretty book. Like, saw that practice doing build books.
Like, yeah, right? If you have not seen this book, it is definitely worth having in your arsenal. The directions are very clear. They're easy to, the OT and me, that was my other thing, this is really easy to follow. The pictures are in the right order. I can understand what you're doing without having to read it. We've got steps that are numbered as well as more explanation later. I'm like, this is beautiful. This is so easy to follow. It's got tabs. It's excellent. It's an excellent book.
I'm so glad to hear that. That was, so I didn't design, I didn't do the graphic design, but I did work with them to give them some heavy suggestions. But they were brilliant with the layout and the taking my suggestions very well. And I was definitely, so I do have a little bit of a design background, so I definitely had my hands in there for when they gave me the copy. I may have even rearranged some of the content on the pages and submitted them back to them. Like, hey, you can fit this and that on, in this area, and it would look, it'll feel a little better. Yeah, I'm sure I annoyed their graphic designer a little bit by doing that, but that's just who I am. Have you met me? That's what I do.
It's just so
I like
user friendly. Like, that's what I really like about this book in particular. I'm afraid of like large prop making. It's a weird, I guarantee you once I do it more consistently, I'm going to be all over it because I hate sewing. So I really need to find something else because sewing is just the bane of my existence. I do it because I have to. But I'm always like, oh no, I'm going to get all these supplies and then I'm going to mess it up. And then I'm going to have to buy more supplies. And, there's a lot of very practical things in this book. And the way that it's set up so that like you can just, if you want to make the exact thing that's in the book first to practice, you totally can because the directions are clear enough that you're going to be able to figure out what you need to do. And I know that you do some workshops now off of your book as well, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes. I have actually a workshop coming up at Cosplay America that is based on the Dagger project that's in there, but I've simplified it. Yes.
For those of you
we're going
who
to make
are,
a version of it.
Not here, we're doing show and tell.
We are doing show and tell with the book, but this is an audio podcast. But I'll post a link to where you can buy the book, what the book, like the cover looks like. I'm not going to show you what's in it because you have to go buy it. Like, you have to buy it to find out what's in it.
Please buy the book.
Do buy the book because it's beautiful. It comes in both. I have the physical copy because I just really wanted a physical one, but I believe it comes in a digital as well, correct?
Yes. You can buy it at the digital book. You can find it on my website. You can also find it on my publisher's website, CNT Publishing, cntpublishing.com. Yeah, they've got a whole line of cosplay books that they've been working on. Lots of really great content out there. And their editors are wonderful. My editor, Roxanne, she was great. She was so patient. It really kind of helped that she didn't really know what cosplay was. She was very interested. She was able to read the directions and be like, I don't know what you're talking about here. What is this? Do we need to talk about this? And like, oh no. That's why I gave them 600 pages when I submitted this thing. And then, she wrote back and said, okay, we need 240. So we're going to start taking some of this away.
I was going to say it is no longer 600 pages. So.
It's not 600 pages. Yeah. That's a big part of why it's so condensed, why it's so dense, why every page has so much stuff on it. They really crammed it all in there. I don't know what else I can write about. Some people are asking me like, well, what's your next book going to be? I'm like, well, okay, first of all, that book took a lot out of me. I, like everything I do, I put my entire self into it and neglected everything else while I was writing it. And I don't know what else I can write about because everything is in that book. So, but I'm glad you're enjoying it.
You wrote a book. Most people don't get that far.
Crazy.
So, like,
crazy.
That's a feat in and of itself. And we'll make sure that everyone can find your beautiful book. Where else can our listeners find you? We'll also put this all in our in the show notes too, so you all can also click and find Beverly. But
yes, well, you can find me, Beverly, Downen Creative Studios on all the socials. If you just type in my name, Downen, Downen. I will pop up on all the socials, and I have a website and a YouTube and SheProp. I just got the website back. We were hacked a few months ago, and I lost my own downencreativestudios.com and I lost sheprop.com. Everything's gone. And so we finally got that back. And so sheprop.com is back. But you can find us on all the socials. But if you want to join our community, we are on Facebook. So you can just search for SheProp on Facebook and the community will pop up. We also have a Discord if you aren't on Facebook. And the Discord is a little bit trickier to find because it's invite only. So if you send us a message, a DM on Instagram or on Twitter, we can send you an invite link. The only tricky thing about that is that we want to make sure that if you are able to join our Facebook group with answering the questions that we have posted there, those folks are welcome to join. We need to make sure that you are not a cis man, basically, to put it plainly, to join our Discord. I'm sorry. And I wanted to just not go on a tangent, but this is very important. I want folks that are still listening to just know that SheProp is not a place where we go and we hate on men at all. That is actually absolutely the opposite. It doesn't even really come up in our group. It's not a topic that we talk about. And we do have a policy in the group that it's not tolerated. So there's no bad discourse about our male counterparts. We're just there to support each other in ways that we don't have in other spaces. So so I just wanted to throw that out. Does that count as a tangent? Maybe since we are at the end.
It's related.
Hey, find us.
It's a thing that probably is good to mention. I've definitely never seen anybody like attack our cis male, cosplayers out there on SheProp. So we all didn't think about it because it's never really happened. Like nobody uses it that way. But yeah, definitely not for that. It's a very supportive community that we highly recommend. We'll make sure you all have all the links to all the places so you can come hang out. Thank you for joining us. We're so happy to finally have you here and have you come chat with us. And hopefully we'll see you at C2E2 next year. Yes. Because we missed you this year.
2024.
Yes.
Or we'll randomly make it back to the West Coast or whatever. We were in Seattle not that long ago. It can happen. You never know. So.
Yeah, I would love that. I would love to hang out again. It's always a great time. And thank you very much for having me on this podcast. This has been super, super fun. Just a really lovely time chatting with you both. So I appreciate it.
We appreciate you.
We appreciate you. Absolutely.
And for our listener friends, we should be back on our regular schedule now. Hopefully, maybe. But if it can go wrong, it will go wrong. So as long as life continues to allow us to record, which is usually something life likes to do is keep us from recording, we should finally be able to bring you our episode on Express Yourself on cosplay identity and belonging. Finally, hopefully, which has been our new panel that is being picked up by multiple conventions this year. So be able to also have that conversation with us in person. We're going to finally do the fact versus opinion episode, spin-off from sandbagging. So we're going to finally teach you all what the difference is between a fact and an opinion.
Because a lot of people don't know.
A lot of people don't know what the difference is. All right, friends. We'll see you again soon.
Bye, guys. Sorry. Goodbye, friends.
We better do the outro before we go on another tangent.
Sorry. Okay, that's 11 tangents, by the way.
11 tangents.
Yes.
All right.
11 recorded tangents.
11 recorded
tangents. There could have been more.
In about an hour. That's not too terrible.
I know.
Outro.
You've been listening to Shenanigans Cosplayers Say, produced by LVC Productions. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, and YouTube at Lavi Cosplay. Our podcast Instagram is Podcast SCS. Our website is lavicosplay.com. Have a fun, crazy con or cosplay-related story, absurd cosplay question, or just something in general to share with us? Email us at podcastscs@gmail.com or DM us at podcastscs or Lavi Cosplay on Instagram. If you like what you heard, please rate, review, and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for listening, and remember, just because you can doesn't mean you should.